It's the timeout not heard around Orlando, but why that timeout and what preceded it to show that the Magic are not ready to break through today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 22nd, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, that timeout not heard around Orlando, at least around the world. I'm going to play that up. We'll talk about the Magic not getting the timeout, not getting the win, and what that really says about the season and the team. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic Newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. There is no beating around the bush. There's no avoiding it. There's no denying it. There's no even brushing it aside. The Orlando Magic had a massive failure in this loss, this 1-point loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. They had a massive mistake. A mistake that is just so frankly inexcusable and unacceptable at any level. They had several sort of cascading problems that eventually just cost them a game that Cole Anthony said they should have won. And yes, this was a game the Magic should have won. A game they had in the bag, a game they had in hand, a game where they left the door open for a team like Memphis to go out and win. Congrats to the Grizzlies. They went out and took the game. I don't want to take anything away from them, but the Magic opened that door and allowed them to walk through. More than that, these are the kind of mistakes this Magic team cannot and should not be making. If you don't know what happened by now, Orlando fought hard to tie the game, to take the lead, tie the game in the second quarter. Their gritty, determined defense came back, and we'll talk more about that. And I'll end the show on a positive note because I am a positive person. I am an optimist at the end of the day. The Magic's defense was back in full force against one of the best offensive teams in the league, and they did the job. 105 points against the Grizzlies is enough to win. Coming out of halftime in a tie game, the Magic took a 19-point lead. They scored the first 9 or 11 points of the second half, took a 19-point lead and seemed ready to cruise to victory. I had my article already set and ready to go. And then within the third quarter, the Magic gave away that 19-point lead. Little things being loose, allowing Memphis to get comfortable, allowing them to make back-to-back-to-back threes, to climb back in the game, and yes, eventually tie it before Paolo hit a three to give the Magic a 3-point lead at the break. Orlando indeed had a 9-point lead. They gave that lead away. So what? Plenty of game left. They're still doing a lot of good things. They had a 9-point lead with 4.5 minutes to play and then did not score a field goal the rest of the game. The Magic gave up an 11-1 run. And when John Morant, who scored 9 points in those final 4.5 minutes, tied the game, Franz Wagner turned it over not once, but twice. Desmond Bane split a pair of free throws to give the Grizzlies a 1-point lead. Then Wagner passed on a wide open shot for a bad contested shot. And when Cole Anthony bailed the team out with an offensive rebound, Paolo Banchero rushed a three. Just a lack of awareness down the stretch. No big deal. 1-point game. Santi Aldama misses both free throws. Orlando gets the rebound. Several players call for timeout. It's not given. Jamal Mosley said after the game, The plan was to call for timeout after the rebound. It was not given with 10 seconds left. Paolo Banchero decides to take the ball down the court. Everyone's disorganized. He has to face a 3-man wall in front of him. Nearly breaks through, but Jaren Jackson Jr. blocks the shot and the Magic lose the game. 105-104. These are cascading problems. They each contribute to the loss. And while there is a lot of talk about the timeout, or the timeout that wasn't, if you go back and look at the replay, several players are calling for a timeout. Jamal Mosley said after the game he wanted a timeout and did not get it. I'm personally not against not calling a timeout, especially in that situation. If you're taking the ball out of the hoop or it's after it made basket, I would definitely call timeout and set things up. But coming off of a rebound, I don't mind going for it. But that's not what the Magic were trying to do. Jamal Mosley put it on himself, said the communication was my mistake. We needed to better communicate on that end. But guess what? This has been 4 years now with Jamal Mosley as a head coach. So some game mismanagement, which has been a theme. And then the third year of this group largely together. That they didn't know that situation is frankly inexcusable. And it's on everybody. Coach, players, everybody. These are all cascading problems. These are all issues, and these are all the things, the mistakes, the issues that are preventing the Magic from being the team they need to be. At this point, yes, we understand the Magic are not going to be the 4 seed. They're not going to accomplish their goals. We can blame injuries, and injuries are a part of this story. But even with that, this team was struggling to compete against the best teams in the conference. And even now, and I'll explain how the Magic are starting to turn a corner and why maybe this isn't a time to panic or be freaked out. A game like this, like the game against Miami, and even frankly, Thursday night's game in Atlanta, where the Magic were able to hit the shots to keep the Hawks at bay, but gave up a big lead to have that game be tied at 103 before they closed it on a 11-5 run to win the game. Scored 9 straight points to put that game away and win that game. This is the ceiling they can't break. This is why it doesn't feel like it's just about injuries. We know the offense stinks. But to see Franz Wagner pass up a wide open shot with the game on the line, it's inexcusable. To see the Magic struggle to generate good shots, and they got some good looks that they missed and made some good shot plays that they missed, but to see the offense continue to struggle to generate consistency or consistently good shots or consistently rhythm shots, we know that this team is short on what they need to ultimately compete. Even if the Magic had gotten through the season with full health, it is hard to envision watching this group now that they could break through that ceiling, that they could get through to the other side. That's the problem with all of this. That's the problem with this team. A loss like this is not like, it's bad. It's one you had to have. It was something that you gave up. That's all 100% true. The Magic gave this one away. They are right to say that. They are right to believe that. And look, again, Memphis took it. Orlando merely offered it up. But the reasons why they lost this game are so similar to the reasons why they lose so many other games. The reason why the Magic can't seem to get out of their own way. The shortcomings that are going to prevent the Magic from being the team they want to be. We know they need offense. We know they need shooting. Their defense is elite, and it's playing elite again. But it's not enough. To be the team they need to be, they need to be able to play in the muck and the grime and the dirt like they have been and drag teams down to their level. They dragged Memphis down to their level for a good chunk of this game. but they need to rise above it. And right now, with this roster, with this team, they have been unable to rise above it. And it's not just about the poor offense or the poor clutch play or the poor late game execution or the uncertainty and nervousness, even though the Magic have a good clutch record, to execute and make shots. They don't trust that they're going to make shots. They have a 102 offensive rating in late game situations, one of the 5 worst in the league. Not surprising, they're a bad offensive team, but it's still huge to say. The Magic's picture is not complete. And this team isn't going to find a breakthrough. That's the frustrating part. These are all lessons that the Magic should have, should know, should learn. And they're little mistakes that become so big. It's not just the timeout. Let's make that clear. Because there is a coaching philosophical debate about whether it's the right thing to call a timeout in that situation. The Magic wanted to call a timeout. They didn't get it. They didn't execute. They didn't recognize it and execute. They didn't make the play that they needed to make, the decision they needed to make. And that's something that should be known and should be done by a veteran team. Certainly a team of the Magic's experience. But it's the little mistakes too. It's 15 offensive rebounds, even though Memphis struggled to score on those. It's 10 missed free throws. It's passing up open threes when they're there, not having confidence in your shot. The Magic's problems are all on full display. And while they can and are beginning to overcome them again, we're thinking playoffs. We're thinking about what's going to happen when you play a team like Memphis in a best 4 out of 7 series. Could the Magic do this again? Play this way again? Can the Magic compete at this level? And the records continue to tell us no, they can't. There's obviously nothing to do about it now. The trade deadline's passed. I'm not convinced anything at the trade deadline would have been big enough to fix this. The Magic will have to make some hard decisions, some key decisions, some big decisions, some perhaps risky decisions in the offseason because this group doesn't have that spark. They don't have that confidence. They don't have that trust. They've been through a lot and they are scarred by it. And that comes out in a game like this. That's what stands out in a game like this. The Magic just couldn't get the job done in the end. And they have their work cut out for them to make sure this doesn't repeat over again. Let's talk then about some positives. How the Magic are turning in a quarter and why Sunday's game now becomes so important. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to our friends over at DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Here are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. If you need a quick and easy lunch on the next day with Dash Pass, you can get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. If you have late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. So if you listen to the show, you know I am an optimist. Sometimes people say that I'm a little bit of an apologist. I'll accept those criticisms. I can be. I tend to see the good in things. I tend to think, okay, let's wait and see how this plays out before we make any judgments. I'm not a knee-jerk reaction guy. The opinion that the Magic are bad offensively, that's fact. Like it just is. And knowing and understanding that the next steps for this Magic team are to meaningfully address their offense, adding more playmaking, creating, shooting, more shooting. It's obvious at this point. Right now, our focus needs to be on how do the Magic make the most of the time they have left. At the end of the day, it is still vitally important. It is still really, really critical that the Magic make the playoffs, get into a 7-game series, and even if they lose, see their flaws exposed once again. See if their defense does work in the playoffs still. Obviously, their offense is going to be a factor, and that's how they can compete. And frankly, what has been frustrating for the last month and a half, those last 4 to 6 weeks, is that the Magic have not looked competitive. Their offense has been so bad that their defense doesn't matter. They're ranked 10th in defensive rating since January 3rd when Jalen Suggs got hurt. So it's not like they're playing poor defense. It just feels that way because we're used to elite Magic defense. That's how they make up for how bad their offense can be. So I would argue one of the positives, one of the good things that has shown up is since the Sacramento game, or since they came home from the West Coast trip, the Magic are starting more and more to look like themselves. They're starting to look more and more like the defensive team that we know and love, that drags teams into the deep and, just mauls them. Memphis is one of the best offensive teams in the league. Orlando held them to a 102.9 offensive rating. The Magic actually had a better offensive rating. This game was a statistical tie. And the Magic actually had a better offensive rating because of some possession quirks, at least according to NBA.com. The Magic held the Grizzlies to 41.3% shooting, 7 for 33 from 3. 4 of those threes came in the third quarter. They shot 22-29 from the foul line, another weirdly officiated game, just like Thursday. Forced 15 turnovers for 21 points. They got 17 fast break points. They actually had more fast break points than the much faster, fast break happy Memphis Grizzlies, who had 9. They got 22 second chance points. The Magic did a lot of things well. Outside of fouling, the Magic's defense looked back. Just plainly simple, back. They fell down by 12 in the first quarter, in the first half. It's another slow start. The offense was just bogged down, just couldn't figure things out. Memphis was able to run on a lot of things. And then Orlando just started to defend. And it was very similar to Thursday's game against Atlanta, where just every shot at the rim was contested. They were just frustrated. They were just kind of overcooking things. Orlando, I thought, did a really excellent job defensively. And they looked like themselves. This is what a Magic game is supposed to feel like. It is supposed to be a slog. It is supposed to be ugly. It is supposed to be down in the dirt and grimy and disgusting. You're not supposed to enjoy watching a Magic game unless you are a sicko like us Magic fans. If the Magic had a halfway decent offense, they would be one of the best teams in the league. It's honestly, it's like, I know it feels like a long way away because Orlando's 29th in the league in offensive rating. But if this team were even an average offense, they'd be the 4 seed. They'd be competing for the 3 seed. They might be competing with Boston for the 2 seed, even though Boston's really good. The Magic's offense is the problem. And so to see the defense get back to an elite level is a very promising sign, especially without Jalen Suggs at this point. And so I'm personally optimistic that the Magic are about to have a really nice homestand and give themselves a chance to make up ground. Obviously, like Miami won Friday night, so the Magic are now tied in the standings with the Heat. Again, Heat have played 4 less games than Orlando, so that's actually kind of concerning. The Pistons won again, so they're now 3 games back of the Pistons. The Magic got to take care of themselves. They got to win games. This is a game they needed to win. The way that they played, they dropped it. Not good. Not ideal. Not good. But the Magic do seem to be turning a corner. And look, I expect them to win on Sunday. I'm going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. I expect them to win on Sunday. I expect them to be competitive against Cleveland on Tuesday. I expect them to be competitive against the Warriors on Thursday. And that's simply not how the Magic were playing just a few weeks ago. Orlando is now competitive again, and that is a low, low bar. I am not pretending it is a high bar. But we need to have the reality. We need to have the real talk. This is not a 4 seed. This is a team fighting to be 500. This is a team fighting to get to the 6 seed. And if they get to the 6th seed by the end of the season, that is a major victory. That is a huge coup for the Orlando Magic. Because they are struggling to get there. They're just down bad, and their offense is just so bad it does not matter. But this is the thing. It felt like the Magic were turning a corner in Miami. This game, in a lot of ways, mirrored that Miami game, the double overtime loss. Orlando took a big lead, felt very, very comfortable, kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit. Miami made some tough shots, built some confidence, and then all of a sudden you could see the Magic's energy drain. Their offense became mired in that kind of sticking to one side, sticking to isolations, Paolo taking bad shots, this really kind of heavy offense, and their defense wasn't getting stops. Their defense failed them a little bit. That happens. This game felt very similar to that. And frankly, like I say this all the time, close games are kind of random. Like, look, Paolo Banchero hits that baseline jumper, the Magic win this game. If Franz Wagner doesn't turn the ball over, the Magic win this game. If John Morant doesn't hit that tough fadeaway over Cole Anthony, the Magic win this game. It's little plays. It's 1-2 plays. I can live with that, honestly. Like I hate blowouts more than I hate close losses. Close losses I can live with. There's this, one thing maybe would have changed, you win the game. Honestly, to me as an analyst, that is fine by me. It's blowouts where you have like major problems. They're like, okay, this wasn't good enough. How do we fix this? It's easy to fix, make more free throws. It's easy to fix, get that stop on that play. It's easy to mix, let's execute our offense better. That's easier to fix than, we didn't score for 5 minutes, which happened in this game. We couldn't stop them from getting to the basket repeatedly or hitting threes. The Magic have those things to fix. They gave up way too many free throws. They were fouling a ton. Again, officiating was weird all night long for both teams. I don't think, just like a game against Atlanta, both teams are unhappy with the officiating. I still feel very confident, but like that Miami loss, you can't let this game linger. You lost to Miami. It was gutting. It was a double overtime game. You lost a lot of energy. You go on the road to Portland. You lose to Portland, and then you lose to Utah. You lose that spark. You lose what built that 12-point lead. We need to the Magic need to make this game forgettable. Yeah, it'll stink, and you'll drop the game that you should have had in a close game. You're going to win some close games like this too. Orlando stole that game against San Antonio. They're down 7, exactly like Memphis did. You have these games over the course of an NBA season. What can't happen is one loss become 2 losses. A close loss makes you feel bad, and you drop a game to Washington, which you cannot lose to. I know they have Chris Middleton now. I know they have Marcus Smart now. I know Jordan Poole's playing very well right now. They are still the Wizards. You need to beat them, and frankly, they need to make a statement. They need to make a statement against the Wizards. It won't be easy. I think Washington's playing a little bit better. They got some weapons, and Orlando's offense is just not consistent enough to say that's a bankable win. It took them a half to figure out how to beat Charlotte without their top guys. Weird game. Again, last game before the break is always weird. The Magic are turning a corner, but this is the kind of loss that can derail things, can stop those good vibes. I would say in the locker room, there were still, pretty optimistic vibes. It definitely didn't feel like the locker room after the Miami game. But they got to, you're only as good as your next day. The momentum is the next day's pitcher. You got to go out Sunday and take care of your business. And if you do that, everybody's going to forget about this Memphis game. Like, again, no one's going to care about the timeout. We care about it now. We care about, you got to clean that stuff up, but no one's going to care. So go take care of your business on the road. Or not on the road. Go take care of your business on the next game. That's going to continue the upward trajectory and continue to get this Magic team back where we feel they belong. They are a better team than their record. Like I said that they're not an elite team, and that's where they got to get. They got to play consistent like this. If the Magic play like they did Friday night, 9 out of 10 times they're going to win. That's the truth. Losing close games is Frustrating, but losing close games to good teams in the end of the world. Go out, take care of your business. That's the next task, and that's what the Magic have to do. Let's run through the box score. We'll talk a little bit about what we saw from the Orlando Magic coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. And there is no better place to get in on that than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Now, I would love to use FanDuel, but we are not allowed to here in Florida because government. But with FanDuel, you can back your team for a late game rally or pick a player to hit a clutch three. You'll never feel like you miss your chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's run through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic fall to the Memphis Grizzlies, 105-104. Very different game than what we saw in Atlanta. A little bit more balanced. I think Orlando had a little bit more flow offensively. They got others involved. But at the same time, it very much looked like the second night of a back-to-back for both teams. Some really rough shooting from both sides. Orlando shot only 40.9% from floor, 9 for 31 from three. They actually made more threes and shot better from three than Memphis. So if Magic do have to win those games when that happens, they're 23 of 33 from the foul line. They took 4 more free throws, just made 1 more free throw than the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies missed 7 free throws. Orlando missed 10. So again, in a 1-point game, they're missing 10 free throws. And you look at it, it's like Paolo's 10 for 13. Franz is 5 for 6. It's not one guy missing a ton of free throws. Jet Howard missed 2 free throws. Anthony Black missed a pair of free throws. Those are gutting in a close game, and you know it, especially when you're trying to stem momentum. Happened in the third quarter. I believe that's when Anthony Black missed his 2 free throws. Jet Howard missed 2 free throws early in the fourth. Paolo split some free throws in the fourth quarter. Just the timing of the misses just kill momentum and just bring you down a little bit. Look, Memphis missed free throws too. Desmond Bane split a pair of free throws that gave the Grizzlies the lead. Aldama missed the 2 free throws late in the game that gave the Magic a chance to take the lead to win the game in the dying seconds if the timeout thing didn't happen. Franz Wagner led the team with 25 points. He was 9 for 19 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3, 5 for 6 from the foul line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, had 3 turnovers as well, 2 blocks. Excellent defense throughout the night on John Morant. He had the call on John Morant. John Morant did have 23 points, 10 for 24 shooting. I'll talk a little bit more about him in a minute. Was 1 for 7 from 3. Putting the size on Morant really did a number. Franz was able to recover, challenge shots, make shots difficult around the rim. Did a good job mostly keeping him on the perimeter. So I was really impressed with Franz's two-way game. But at the end of the day, like the 2 for 7 from 3 from Franz, there were some bad misses. And look, everyone had bad misses. Legs weren't there for a lot of guys. But Franz started to hesitate from 3. As much as we want to talk about the timeout, the passing of the 3-point shot with about 30 seconds left, that was the worst shot. That was the worst play. Wide open 3. Paolo drew players to him, kicked it out to Franz, and Franz just hesitated. And, again, I say this a million times, like, the Magic are not a good shooting team. We're not pretending they are. They still have to shoot when they're open. That's what NBA offenses are designed to do. And hesitating to shoot is only going to lead to a worse shot. That's what happened here. It happened several times throughout the game. The Magic's problem is not necessarily their inability to shoot at this point. It's their confidence to shoot. You don't shoot 29% as an NBA team because you're a bad shooting team. It becomes about confidence. These are NBA players. They can make these shots. Right now, there's a confidence issue, and that leads to a trust issue, and that leads to some of the bogging down on offense that we see. It's hard to rebuild that trust, and you got to make some shots. And there's going to be a game coming up here soon where the Magic do make shots again, and they'll win that game. But obviously they've settled in as the worst shooting team in the league. A lot of it's just endemic. It's now just nobody believes they can make shots, and they're hesitating to take shots. Happened with Paolo too. Franz actually had a play where he passed on an open three, but was able to drive in and get a tough runner at the shot clock buzzer. Made the shot, needed to take the three. I don't care if the Magic miss all their threes. They need to be confident taking threes. It helps them in the end. Paolo Banchero scored 21 points, 5 for 21 shooting, 6 for 10 from the foul. 10 for 13 from the foul line, 1 for 6 from 3, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Struggled with foul trouble early in the game, but really came on strong. Just struggled to find his shot. Just the shot wasn't there. When Edey was out of the game or Jaren Jackson Jr. was out of the game, he attacked really well. Obviously got to the foul line a lot, finished around the basket. So again, Paolo didn't have his best game, but again, continues to trend in the right direction toward making quicker decisions, looking to attack and get downhill. I expect a big game from both Paolo and Franz on Sunday against Washington, a team that certainly should give them some advantages and ability to attack and create for this team. Again, Washington just not a good defensive team. They'll find their way. Cole Anthony, another really nice game, 17 points, 6 for 12 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. Added 9 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds, 7 assists, near triple-double for Cole Anthony. He continues to impress. He's had an amazing February. It's hard to believe he was out of the rotation at the beginning of the year. He has become indispensable. But while his shot making, his creation is super important, his energy is super important, Memphis attacked him with abandon in that second half, and the fourth quarter especially. Ja Morant scored 9 points in the final 4.5 minutes. Almost all of it was him trying to attack Cole Anthony, trying to engage him in pick and rolls, trying to get him switched onto him. And look, Cole defended his heart out. He played really hard. He pushed him. He tried to keep him from his spot. He contested shots really well. Ja hit those shots. And some of it is just Cole has shortcomings he can't overcome. It's not his fault. He's doing the best he can, but he is going to be a target. And if the Magic are leaning on him, the Magic will certainly lean on him coming off the bench, and I think that'll benefit him a ton and help the Magic's bench be more like the Magic's bench. But they're getting all they can out of Cole. And again, it's just he's not a starting player in this league at the highest levels. It's not for lack of effort. He tries his butt off on defense. He's come a long way on defense from his rookie year. But there are just some shortcomings you can't overcome, and Ja Morant took advantage of them late in this game to help the Grizzlies win the game in total. Wendell Carter had another really nice game. 10 points, 11 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds. He was only 5 for 12 from the field. But after a great game in his first start on Thursday, followed up with another really solid game. I know the shooting percentage isn't maybe where you want it to be. Certainly struggled with the size of Zach Edey around the basket. But Carter has more games like this. Again, a double-double again. That's what the Magic need from him. Played with energy. You feel the Orlando Magic turning corner. You feel them looking more like themselves. They're obviously not there yet. Not a good win, not a good loss here. But they're getting closer and closer. And Wendell Carter and his revival has been a big part of that. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 9 points, 3 for 7 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3. Not a lot to say about his game. Gary Harris off the bench, 7 points, 2 for 2, 1 for 1 from 3. Played well, got his shot going. Obviously, I'm a big believer. If Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Gary Harris are getting shots, it's usually because the offense is pretty healthy. Seeing Gary get a shot to go down just so desperately needed. He's had only 9 total points since January 31st before Friday's game. So see him nearly double that up. Absolutely necessary for him, and just get something from him offensively. Tristan Da Silva had 8 points, most of them in the first half. 3 for 7 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. Goga Bitadze had 4 points, 5 rebounds. Continues to look fine there. And even Jett Howard, he had 3 points, got himself involved, did some good things, but, again, just still struggling a little bit defensively. He's gotten better on that end, a little bit better as a playmaker, but the shot, 1 for 3 from 3. Making one was big, but again, just not playing enough. And again, Orlando just not getting enough off their bench. Memphis got 13 points off the bench from Brandon Clark. They got 12 points from G.G. Jackson. He made 3 back-to-back-to-back threes, 3 straight threes as part of the run that erased that 19-point deficit in the third quarter. Ultimately, Ja Morant leads the team with 23 points. Jaren Jackson Jr., 16 points on 3 for 13 shooting, but 10 for 11 from the foul line. 16 points for Desmond Bane as well. The Orlando Magic do a good job slowing this Memphis Grizzlies team down. They only had 101 possessions in this game. Orlando had more fast break points. They did a good job controlling the tempo and pace. Their defense did a really good job. Only complaint on defensively was they fouled too much. That's been a complaint all year. They're very physical. They're not afraid to foul. That's fine. But again, down the stretch, Orlando just could not get the ball moving, could not get themselves moving, and ultimately cost them a chance for a really nice win. But the Orlando Magic fall to the Memphis Grizzlies 105-104. They're back in action Sunday. Must win, must perform well game against the Washington Wizards. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Find me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, search for Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all Film and Style podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find me on YouTube as well at Locked On Magic. Search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out the Orlando Magic Hub, my Patreon page at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to subscribe today for the Locked On Magic daily newsletter. It's one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox Monday through Friday. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back Sunday night, Monday morning to chat about the Orlando Magic's game against the Washington Wizards. We'll get to that next time on Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Phil Prosper Wright calling timeout and seeing you next time for the next episode of Locked On Magic.